Oh shit! Hey! It's your boy Disco, and I've been watching a lot of older Star Trek. And by old Star Trek, I mean like the 1970s version. And I've got to say, it still holds up to this day. Now, yeah, I get it. It was weird. Yeah, it doesn't exactly like people don't really like it aesthetically. Like old sci-fi age, well, it didn't age too good, but I think some of like the stories and the interesting situations and the characters absolutely do. And one of them is like Spock. I mean, again, he's half human, half Vulcan, but he tries to stick with his Vulcan side, which they are primarily a race driven by logic. So they look at things logically, analytically, and that's how they do things. Every once in a while, Spock being half human, what the emotional side comes out. But see, I think that's what makes a good character, right? They have a set of flaws, but they also have a set of strengths. And I think the older, even Stargate was the same way. Like the thing, and what I try to trying to figure out, right, is why it's so difficult nowadays to just make good characters. Because you have, say, Captain Marvel from the Marvels, who's effectively not even human. Like, she has no flaws. She has no. There's no. At no point does she have like a phase of weakness or anything. She's just better in every way. She's what Thor. Well, even Thor, when in his older movies, actually had a set of flaws, but he's willing to do the right thing. He was brave. Yeah, he was kind of pretentious and a dick, but I mean, and women watched Thor because of Thor. Like it was that. That's the type of character he was. He brought women in to see that movie specifically to see that actor. And the same thing with Iron Man, right? Like he was, a billionaire and a weapons manufacturer. All the things that people dislike. At least when that comic first came out, when Iron Man as a character first came out, but he still wanted to do good. And of course, he was also a rich, pretentious asshole. But he was Iron Man. Again, this is what people like to see in characters. They like to see flaws, but they also like to see their strengths. And it's what makes them human. Even though they're superheroes, and there's no way you can actually strive to be them. Like, you're not going to strive to be someone like Spock, but you see the character within them, and that's the thing I don't really understand. Like, at least with old sci-fi, the point was like D&D in space. Like, what you had was characters with a set of flaws, but a set of strengths. And when one character, struggles to fix a problem, you have another character coming up and helping them out. But nowadays, you have, the trope that you have the strong female character that she does everything right. She can fight, take down like seven men twice her size within half a second. She's smart, she figures things out on the fly. And again, people don't like these characters. Like, not even women like these characters, or at least those that aren't sold this idea that a female character is a caricature that you inject yourself into, and not, a human being with flaws but strengths. And even superheroes, even Superman is the same way. He's so powerful, but he fails to really understand the human, like, condition, but he still tries to do good. And the same thing with Spider Man. He's a nerdy weird kid, but he again wants to do. He doesn't always. He doesn't always succeed in doing good, but he does. But in the fact that they just cannot make characters like Spock, because I think Spock's probably one of the coolest characters in Star Trek. I mean, what is Star Trek? It's like a futuristic space hippie simulator where they don't even have currency because they can just make something out of thin air with a fabricator. So it's a society that it's pretty much a utopia, but the idea is to again go out and go out to the final frontier and go where no man has gone before. So there's a level of honor as long as a level of risk, and that risk pops up throughout the TV show and even throughout the movies of them traveling through space. And then again, you have these characters with flaws, with strengths, and you as the storyteller have to put them in situations where they can shine. And I think the problem with most Western superhero movies nowadays, or just TV series in general, is they want to put more emphasis on the characters and the representation of said characters rather than the situations themselves, because that requires legitimate storytelling, not just, oh, you're just viewing the actions of this character. It's like you are in this situation with that character and how they would play out that situation. But again, they just can't do this anymore because it requires talent. It requires good storytelling. But they believe in this idea of representation instead of relatability. And I think people can relate with Spock despite being effectively an alien that's better than humanity in every single situation. And there's another character, what's his name, from The Expanse. Please don't let anything fucking pop up. The Expanse. Amos. Yeah, Amos from the spoilers, by the way. How do I say this without spoiling it? This character from The Expanse is probably my favorite character out of all of them, because he has such a tragic backstory, and when I first see this character, it's like I want him to get his ass kicked because he's kind of a dick, but he's also a character that you want to have on your side. He's an ally you want to have with you, despite having a tragic backstory. Because I played the Expanse Telltale series, right? And one of the characters was a Martian who was with Carmina Drummer, which was the captain of the ship. And every other word out her mouth was, I hate Mars, I hate Mars. The best thing about Mars is me putting my thumb on it, and blah, 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 blah. But you don't know why she hates Mars. It's like, oh, I hate this place that I was born in because it's fascist and this, that, and the other. But if you've watched The Expanse, you know he has probably the most tragic backstory out of every single character there with him. But he never shits on where he was born. He never shits on, the circumstances of his birth. He always just does what he's supposed to do. And he protects, and he serves, and he's one of the best characters. I can relate to him, despite never being in his situation, despite being a completely different skin color. I can relate. And I think this is what most Western entertainment companies fail to do. They fail to make relatable characters. They care more for representation. They want this thing called, I guess for lack of a better term, like entertainment segregation or cultural segregation, where if you are of this skin color and of this gender, you have this between your legs, you are supposed to only watch these types of shows or only like these type of characters, right? And if the genetics and the heritage and the pedigree doesn't match up, well, then there's something wrong with you. But that's not how people act. All these people who are not trying to shove ideology down your throat, right? The realest motherfuckers watched Sailor Moon and never told a soul. Let me tell you. And I think things like, relatability, like maybe you're one of the people who care about representation, and that's fine, but representation is never. Bigger problems with movies and video games and any type of entertainment coming from the West nowadays than representation. And I mean, I've already been over those problems, but I want to talk about and again, I'm just talking about the fact that I like Star Trek and I like Stargate, but they just do not make characters like this anymore. Or I guess unless they're the male characters, then well, it's not even that you don't know the strengths. Like people nowadays don't know the strengths and the flaws of most characters or most comic book characters in the movies nowadays, right? Because they do this thing where they write characters around the story instead of the other way around. Yeah, I'd say that's it. They write the characters to fit situations. So, if Captain Marvel hits the stage, all the other characters need to stand back because she's strong, independent women. And that's just not how you write characters. But when they have their own movie, then now they're all of a sudden competent. Unless you're Doctor Strange. And apparently you're not the main character in your own fucking movie. It's not something that makes sense to me. But yeah, I mean, that's all I gotta say about this. This is just something I'm getting off my head. Idea I had. The fact that they just do not make characters like they used to. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about that. See ya.